Quick one, guys. Today I just want to talk about the depth of understanding which I have from borrowing. You see, in Proverbs 22:7, it says that the rich rules over the poor, and the borrower is a slave to the lender. I'll say it again: the rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is a slave to the lender. When I hear that, I what I'm hearing is the fact that being a borrower has the capacity to become both a mindset and an identity. It's possible to be a borrower. The definition of a borrower is a person who approaches, or an individual who approaches an institution to acquire available funds for the completion of a certain project or a certain achievement, with an expectation or with a requirement to return, usually in terms with interest. And the definition of a lender as well is a person or an individual or an organization which makes funds available to people who need them, with an expectation that the people who to whom these funds are being lent to return these funds with interest, you see. And yesterday I was sharing how President Jakaya Kikwete, the fourth president of Tanzania, whose time in office spanned from 2005 to 2015, actually sparked an outrage on social media, in the sense that the current president, President Magufuli of Tanzania, actually wiped off a loan that was made to the country, the nation of Tanzania, from Chinese investors, to the tune of 10 billion US dollars to construct a port at a city around the northern part of Dar es Salaam, you see. And attached to this loan was there were a series of conditions to which these loans would be granted. One of them would be that there would be a 30-year guarantee that the contract to build this port would be held or fixed to these investors, and that there would be about 99 years, 99-year lease on the land to which this port would be assigned to, or established or built upon, and that the government, the entire government of Tanzania, would have no excuse whatsoever. I think I would try to get it really clearly, that the Tanzanian government will have no power whatsoever to raise concerns on whoever invests in the port during the agreed period. In my opinion, I think that's a classical definition of what a slave really means. The entire Tanzanian government, in a way, were put up as slaves, so to speak. In other words, the borrower being a slave to the lender becomes really understood and established here in this principle. And it's really sad, you see, how it seems that the borrower mindset and the borrower identity seems to have clung on African leadership, to the tune, I think it was early last year or this year, when 60 billion US dollars was pledged to Africa, and the African leaders, gathered in a meeting or in a consortium, so to speak, to kind of like appreciate the loan, a $60 billion loan that was really loaned out to the continent for its development. And I think it's problematic. I think it's strange that the people, the leadership of Africa, are unable to see development outside the confines of the concept of borrowing. It seems that the borrowing mentality or the borrowing mindset has attached a kind of like a slave identity to the continent of Africa, and that's really sad. But this can be turned around, and especially if I think about the second condition to this loan in Tanzania, which gave a 99-year lease to the land, it meant that well into the year 2100, the entire generation would have actually been enslaved to these investments long after the presidents who signed these agreements were gone. They had left the surface of the earth. enslaving a new generation or a new set of generations into something they never knew of, you see. And as the world progresses into the fourth industrial revolution, and a revolution that will be dominated by artificial intelligence, by robotics, by 3D printing, the Internet of Things, I really wonder how equipped our nations are to be able to perceive and anticipate the changes that would come from these technologies, and how much loans we might need to take to be able to set up the structures that might keep us probably in line with the pace of the world or the direction of the world, you see. So I'm just going to end with a statement by President John F. Kennedy, the 35th president of the United States. At his inauguration, he stated that, do not ask what your nation can do for you, but ask what you can do for your nation. And I think this is the approach most of us young Africans need to take in these times, in this era. We have to be able to seek that independence which our nation seems not to be able to attain. In other words, with the effervescence of the digital world, with the internet, the explosion of knowledge has actually come upon us, and there's so much skills to be learned right now on the internet, on YouTube, on social media. A lot of online courses are going on right now, to which we can gain these skills that would actually define the nature and the essence of the fourth industrial revolution, so that we can partake in the direction in which the world is going, and actually really contribute our own quota with our own local experiences to enriching the diversity of the technological explosions that are actually taking place in the world. Remember, the borrower is a slave to the lender. Do not adopt the borrower mentality that actually waits for the nation to do something for you, but rather shift towards the mindset of a giver, a contributor that actually thinks in the terms of, what can I do for my nation? But not necessarily your nation alone, but your generation. Because right now we're thinking about a generational shift where we work towards the attainment of excellence for a generation or for the next generations coming, and not necessarily the nation as a subsect of organizational capacity. So I would encourage everyone to try to ponder deeply on these words, that the nation, that the borrower is a slave to the lender, and that the rich rule over the poor. And you decide if you want to adopt the borrower mentality or the contributionist, the contributors or the givers mentality, the givers mindset, as we move deeper into the 21st century. I'll see you in the next one. Shalom.